Hello, and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Gina. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it very much. I wanted to do something special uh, on this episode because it is Mother's Day weekend. And as a mom, this is a very important time for all moms to be acknowledged and recognized for who they are in the world, who they are in the earth plane, in these earthen vessels, these human bodies. Women are given the honor of birthing children, and it's just a miracle when you really think about the mechanics of the whole thing. So of course this is a special Mother's Day for me because my daughter is a new mom. This is her very first Mother's Day. So I've been thinking a lot about being a mother and what it means and how incredibly precious a mother is in the world, not just to her children, but as a nurturer in the world. I mean, the feminine energy is so important to balance masculine energy. And it really is the defining purpose of women in the earth plane. I'm not saying all women have to have children. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean the fact that we are built to have children, and to be nurturers is really a special gift. And it is, I think oftentimes it is mistaken for a utilitarian or something that just grows the population, and women do this thing, and it's just it's expected of them, and it's how we create people, all the mechanics of it. But there's so much more. A mother is a nurturer. She is by nature a nurturer. So we don't just nurture our own children, we want to nurture everyone and everything to some degree, depending on our levels of empathy. But when I think about mothering, I think about my daughter, I think about her with her daughter, and I think about this earth and this life and how I want to nurture everything about it in order for what is most beautiful to emerge. And this is from everything and everyone. So, if we nurture our bodies and we are, care for our bodies, then we have happy, healthy bodies. I mean, we're nurturing this result of a happy, healthy, balanced body. And the same with a plant. If we water a plant and put her in the sun, we're nurturing her ability to be whatever she's meant to be, whether she flowers or grows tall. So the nurturing aspect is not something that, it's not just a something that happens. It is a purpose. It is why the world has balance. And we just entered into the feminine era, the Aquarian era. We left the Piscean or the Pisces era. And the Pisces era was about masculinity, and a lot of that became toxic. If you look at the world and the result of masculine energy, and I'm not just talking about men, just masculine energy, and if it's out of balance with the feminine, where everything goes crazy, where we fight and we have wars, and there's discord and disrespect, and that's the state of the world. With the balance of feminine energy, or in this case where the feminine energy is going to become more prominent, we'll see a lot of those things self-correct, because the humans that are coming into the world from outside of our star system are harbingers of this more feminine energy. So when you think of feminine and masculine, it's easy to think of, soft and hard, or however you want to contrast them against each other. Um, but the truth is that balance is needed, and that's what the yin and yang is all about. It's balancing the feminine and the masculine. It is the two parts together in balance which makes us balanced human beings. So the nurturers, the moms, or the humans or the spiritual bodies who come into this earth plane who are nurturers, we're here for such a bigger purpose than just birthing children, which is a huge purpose, don't get me wrong. But we create the balance in the world. We create the balance in this world, which ripples out to other worlds and other universes and so on and so forth. So we are really an example for the entire universe. However, we handle ourselves as human beings, where we what we do and who we are, how we feel and think ripples out into the universe and affects everything. So one drop of water, in the ocean can cause a tsunami somewhere down the road. It's cause and effect. It's just an amazing thing when you really think about it. So when we think and feel nurturing towards ourselves, that emanates outwards and other people are affected by that. And when they're in the place in their hearts where that emanation from you connects or clicks or something inside of them, then they begin to heal themselves and nurture themselves. And then they emanate that healing and nurturing on and on and on, like a ripple through the water. It ripples through the world and through the universe. So nurturing is not just about, you know, caring for our children. It is the embodiment of nurturing heals all of us. And then if you look beyond that, heals the universe. So as humans, we are given this power for a reason. It's not just to have children populate the earth, we die, and then, the next, you know, the next, series of people come in and sorry, I was distracted for a second. The next, shift comes in and does the same thing. We are so much more than that. And this is what I'm learning through my intuition, through my micro learning, my research, and what I'm being shown in the world. We're so much more than that. Our presence in the earth plane impacts everything. So as nurturers, we are doing. We're not just working for ourselves and our children. We're working for humanity, and then all life forms outside of the earth plane. And when you really think of it from that large perspective, it makes so much sense that um, we're this we're a microcosm of the entire universe and everything in it. So whatever we do, we're doing as a reflection or becomes a reflection somewhere else. So as above, so below is another example of that. It's an amazingly simple uh, concept if you can conceive of it. It is completely impossible if you cannot. It is so simple that its lack of complexity makes it impossible to understand because our minds want it to be complex so we have something to pull apart and discover. But it's so simple, it's overlooked. So as mothers and nurturers, and then men too, either not just women, and men are nurturers, obviously, of course, too. It's not just women, women feminine, men masculine. It's not that at all. We are both. We are all both feminine and masculine. That's my point. And the balance of the two, and the yin and the yang, is what we strive for as souls in the earth plane. So basically, the nurturing half of us balances the masculine half, which can go haywire and become toxic. And of course, the nurturing part of us can also go haywire and become, um, a double-edged sword for a person where you're taken advantage of and you become a victim. So there's extremes to both sides, but the balance of the two, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine is what we strive for as spirits, as souls in this earth plane, because here in this earth plane we can have the physical manifested experiences that teach us what we need to learn to find this balance. So without adversity, we don't have the playing field to learn lessons that evolve our souls and allow us to find that balance, which is living in between two extremes. So when I think about nurturing and I think about mother, I think about earth too. So when you think on a wider scale or a broader scale, it's hard. It's actually more difficult to hone in on the smaller aspects of these large concepts. So to me, nurturing, the first thing I think about is the earth and the universe. And then I think about, humanity, and then I think about myself. It's so strange how the script flips, when you gain this understanding, or you allow this emerging of your natural self through your egoic self, through your ego and through your mind, and through the earth plane, which is, a whole nother game. I've talked about this a lot, so I won't go too deeply into that part. But my point is though the spiritual selves, or who is our true self, our energetic being in this physically manifested body, these are two entities, and they come together as one, and it's our job to balance the two. So I'm definitely going to do an episode about this, because it's such an interesting thing, about the, highly spiritual and the highly materialistic, which has, no spiritual aspects. And the highly spiritual has no material aspects. It's two extremes. And then meeting in the center, which is where we're meant to find our center, which is a balance of both of those. So there's a lot more there, but I'm not going to unpack that for this episode. I want to talk about mother, and the mother I want to really focus on is earth, because she is the ultimate nurturer. I mean, look at her tolerance of her children, and I think of us as her children. We're in this earth plane for a visit with mom, basically, Mother Earth. She is, while we're here, she is our mother. And I've talked about this a little bit throughout the podcast episodes, and I've written about it a lot as well. And I've talked about how I stand on the earth as often as I can, how I go in the river, in the water, in my bare feet, in order to connect with the earth. And I did this out of ignorance for a long time, because I heard it resonated. So I just did it. I didn't question why I'm doing it, or, what's the point. It just felt like something that I should do. So I just started doing it. So if you ask my neighbors, I'm the crazy lady who stands in her yard in her bare feet, and a couple of the neighbors understand why I do it, but for the most part, it's just an odd thing to see somebody doing. But I do it nearly every day. And what I've learned about this Mother Earth, and really what she provides, has really kind of accelerated me to a whole nother level uh, of of wanting to commune with her. And I mean, to the point where I ordered a pair of shoes that don't have any plastic or rubber in them, because that rubber or plastic is a barrier to our bodies being in contact with the earth. And I said in the last episode, I probably would watch, the next thing on Gaia TV, which has become a very important learning tool in my life, would be something called the um, the Earthing movie. And it is amazing. I did watch it, and it, of course, awakened more information in my body about caring for this physical vessel, this body that I've been blessed with in this realm, this body that gives me access to this realm, this body that allows me the five senses, which, of course, there are more. The five senses, the use of this brain, this heart center, which allows me to connect with other human beings in a way that I cannot in my spiritual form. And this is why we come to earth. This is why we want this experience. It's not just to learn lessons, which is the main reason we come here, to evolve ourselves, but it's to experience love in a way that cannot be experienced in any other plane. So when we love each other, our hearts are opened, and that opening of our hearts is like a blossoming of a flower. And this is what really helps us to see, quote unquote, and become aware. And that in that awareness, we accept ourselves. We begin to nurture ourselves, which turns into self-love. And that self-love is what emanates out and affects others. And if we are meant to experience the next level of love in the lifetime that we're in, and I say that because we're not all meant to reach our highest version of ourselves in every lifetime. It could take several lifetimes, and it's, again, by design. So if you are in a lifetime where you're meant to evolve beyond self-love, then you discover unconditional love, which I wrote a very long article about. It's on my website, called Unconditional Love. And it's about the journey to unconditional love through our dark, our dark night of the soul, or facing our darkness, or facing our shadow selves, and learning who we are as a shadow, and then transforming or transmuting that darkness into a contrast of our brightness, of our light, of our most radiant selves. It is so simple when you get perspective and you can see it clearly. It is impossible to see when you're in the shadows. So, when we go through this transformation and we get to this place where we can see everything, we become this loving portal. And this heart becomes a portal for not just love, but for everything that's meant for us as far as information, for you know um, information from our ancestors, from our spirit guides, from our all the beings in the outer realms who are supporting us. And I've talked about this a lot. I have a soul family who consists of four main characters. Oreo and the Emperor and the higher selves is what I call them, because that's who I've come to know them as. And they are my family. They are soulmates that travel with me through all my lifetimes. All of them not necessarily here on the earth plane. It could be another planet, it could be another life form. But these are spirits in their natural form, their formless form, who are in the other realm guiding me through this lifetime, making sure that I hit the marks that I'm meant to hit, while also providing me this incredible loving support, which is really me. I tell my soul team, or my spirit family, every day just about, that they have given me buoyancy in this earthly realm, which has allowed me to embrace myself as a human and live in between those two extremes, the extreme of being so spiritual that my humanity doesn't matter, or so human that my spirituality is not accessible. It has allowed me to embrace the human that I am in this time, and balance this, you know shadow self, which is my desire to grow, and my ethereal or spiritual self, which is my potential to be. So, when I think of nurturing in this earth and how she nurtures our human bodies, she gives us everything that we need. We get food from her, we get water from her, which I did a whole episode about water. And it's the same with food, not to digress too much, but when food is humanely handled and respectfully slaughtered, if we're talking about meat, or grown in clean soil with clean air, without pesticides and too much human touch, which destroys it. If we eat clean, responsibly raised and humanely handled food, and we bless the water, which comes through these horrible pipes. If we are conscientious, if we are aware, which is again what this whole game is about, is finding awareness of what we are gifted with from this earth, it becomes very clear that we are being nurtured, that we can refuse the nurturing by our ignorance, and we can eat junk food and take medications. And I'm not saying, there's exceptions to everything. And again, I'll eat some junk food once in a while. I'll take a Tylenol if I need it. But my point is when we rely on other sources of other systems besides the earth to nurture ourselves, we are ignorant of the gift, and the powerful gift of healing and of health that is available to us right outside our doors. So, as a nurturer, our Mother Earth is a superhero. She is designed to nurture these human bodies and our minds and our hearts, if we can sync them. If we can sync them together and then plant them in the earth, we are going to blossom into our most beautiful selves. And that's as simply as I can put it. So what I've discovered over time, and I've innately known most of my life, but now I understand with my brain, and I can share it with my voice, is that this earth is what we are. We are made, of the same thing. Same thing as stars, same thing as planets, same thing. We're all wave and matter. We're molecules and atoms. It's all the same. So we look differently, which throws us. It's an absolute illusion, though. We are not different. I don't look like the earth, but I'm the same as her. I don't look like my friend, but we are the same. And this is why racism and ageism and the battle between the sexes and everything is a reaction to an illusion. And when you finally see through the veil, when you pierce the veil, which is you escape the matrix and you see the game, you understand this, that there's no point in any of that, that all it does, and I'm not saying it's not meant, it does have a point in the shadow realms. Let me be clear about that. Without the agitation of our demons, there's no growth. So when we're in the lower realms, when we're in our lower versions of ourselves, our shadow selves, there is a very strong and important purpose to that. But once we graduate, and we do graduate, and then others come in and have to go through the same schooling and then graduate. We're all meant to graduate when we graduate. But when we do graduate, we get to look at the game from the other side. We get to see behind the curtain. So when we're in that space and we can see beyond the curtain, we understand how futile we are in our lower vibrational energies, and how we fight against each other when there's really nothing to fight against. So anyway, when we go beyond and we see, I mean, I can see this earth now so very clearly as the mother that she is. And I struggle to name this episode other than Mother Earth, because there just isn't anything other, there's nothing else to say that is more clear to what I'm trying to convey here, is that because of her, because of this beautiful earth, who is a creation of the same creator who created us, we have basically playtime in this earthly realm where we can learn our lessons, evolve, and so on and so on. So the more I learn about her, the more I am absolutely enamored with her, and how I just want to, if I could get my arms around her, I would go out and hug her every day. And I think this is why people hug trees. I mean, seriously, it is, you just become so appreciative of the gifts that you are given. It's hard not to lay down and just kiss her. I mean, she's mom. She is everyone's mom. So I'm watching this movie, which has really awakened more of this information, called The Earthing Movement, or The Earthing Movie, I'm sorry. And a gentleman who lived out west was the person who kind of developed this idea, and it turned into this movie that Gaia produced for this subject matter. It's really wonderful. Again, as always, please watch it for yourself. Take from it the chicken and leave the bones. What resonates with you stays, what doesn't, and that's really what I've embraced. That learning has become an intuitive thing. If it resonates, it's meaningful. If it doesn't, it's not, and it's really quite simple, also. But I'm watching this movie, and of course, immediately I can feel the vibration in my body connecting to this information, because it's something I've already known innately throughout my life, which has caused me to do things like I talked about before: avoid heavy medications if I can. I'm not saying everybody can. Avoid junk food if I can, which I have done most of my life. Avoid toxic things. Relationships was not something I was able to avoid. It was part of my life's plan to be in toxic relationships so I can grow out of the things that I carried in as karma. So again, there's no absolutes here. We're talking, there's exceptions to everything. Plus our free will, which throws a whole nother monkey wrench into the works. So, we're oh, I lost my train of thought. Okay. What was I saying? Okay, I was talking about watching this movie and how I resonated with this movie, and how this gentleman who discovered this quite accidentally. He worked as an electrician for power companies, and he did line work, and he was very aware of how you had to ground energy before you can run a wire into a home. So kind of the beginning of his understanding of all this started there. He, as a linesman, would have to take a wire and ground it and bury it in the ground, or thereby grounding any energy that went through these wires. So if there was a lightning strike on the wire, that energy from the lightning would not travel through the wire and into the house and blow up an appliance or cause a fire. So all these power lines have to be grounded in order to prevent that. So if that lightning strikes, that energy travels down and into the earth. Okay. So he has this understanding. Lives out west. He's grows up near an Indian reservation. A friend of his is an Indian boy, and something resonated with him as a boy that stayed with him. And this is something I've talked about before and just now. If it stays with you, it's something that's meaningful, and pay attention to it. So when he was a boy and he went to visit his American Indian friends' adobe or teepee or home, I'm not sure exactly what it was. When he walked in, the mom said, "Take your shoes off, they'll make you sick." And this really stuck with him over time, where he just thought, well, that was such a strange thing, that why would my shoes make me sick? Okay. Well, what he basically talked about after that is that I think it was 1962, which was the year I was born, that we discovered in our progress how to make rubbers and plastics. And then we immediately started to put rubber insoles in shoes. And then the vogue thing became wearing tennis shoes or sneakers. And there's all kinds of advertising on these becoming, this new thing. And then eventually permeated every household, and everyone on earth wears a shoe with a rubber insole. But at the advent of this invention, this rubber insole was the beginning of a increase in disease in humans. This is so interesting because we disconnected our feet from the earth with rubber or plastic, which blocks that connection. So again, that just stuck with him. So interesting. But he tells a story about how we created these rubbers and plastics, and that was basically the downfall of our health. So over time, disease started to progress and get more complex because we were no longer connected to the earth. And when we're connected to the earth, we become grounded with the earth. And this is how he discovered this. Because of his knowing, or his understanding of grounding energy, he thought, well, maybe we need to be grounded as well. And this came to him after an illness that he wasn't healing from. And he basically created a little experiment where he took a metal nail, put it in the ground, wrapped a wire around it, and held. What did he do? Oh, he took a long piece of metal duct tape. So he's got metal on the tape, metal on the nail, a metal wire, and he laid that duct tape across his bed. He just out of an inclination laid on his bed on the metal duct tape, and felt better in the morning. And then, of course, this is how genius comes to us, through our intuition. As I said before, he realizes that there's a connection between the earth and our health. And over time, he becomes healthier by his awareness of his need to be connected to the earth. So he takes his shoes off, he's outside, he's doing more and more research. He employs scientists and doctors to test his theories, who discover very quickly that this grounding, or this earthing, heals illness in the body. And it does it by balancing our system. So if we are electromagnetic energy, and the earth is also electromagnetic energy, and we stand on the earth, we are basically being grounded again and centered again, and balanced again. So what happens, and I have a limited understanding through this movie, is that the earth sends up electrodes into our body, which basically resets our system, and it relieves the body of inflammation. So the the line that was said in the movie was, when you're on the earth, when you're connected to the earth, you cannot have inflammation. It doesn't exist. The earth cures it or removes it, or I'm not sure how, but it corrects it. So if you think about disease and how the majority of disease starts with inflammation, it's pretty simple to see why earthing or grounding ourselves is the answer for our health. And it's funny, I talked about this in the last episode or the one before about how the earth is my medicine cabinet. It is my healthcare system. And of course, I said that somewhat out of ignorance, but with just an innate knowing. And now, of course, I was given the background information so I can share with some intelligence why this is important. And this is so brilliant how our intuition works. And when I think about my life path, the path that my soul chose, that this is all part of it. It's my voice is a part of this, and my ability to talk about what I experience, which is my empathetic or my empathic abilities. It's just crazy how my gifts are now all coming into play. Gifts that I struggled with before my awareness of myself. So so he's discovering through these scientific experiments and these medical experiments with patients that his theory about grounding is absolutely correct. And if we ground ourselves, if we go out onto the earth in our bare feet, it's that simple. We heal ourselves. Now, I believe there's a lot more to it, and what I'm going to say may be controversial because I don't know what I'm saying. This is an intuitive thing, but we're talking about balance here. You can't just walk outside and get all the full benefits. You have to believe that what you're doing is causing this effect. This is our ability to imagine our lives, ourselves, our best lives. This is that what I talked about when I talked about what God's dream, and when I talked about the science of manifestation. When we change our thought patterns to positive and optimistic and hopeful thought patterns, it resonates through the body. It changes our vibrational quality. It rises up out of our shadow selves, and we become manifestors of this in our physical reality. I mean, this is just something I was thinking about this morning. I'm so grateful. I tell the earth every day, thank you for this visit to this earth plane, in this place where I can manifest anything. I can't manifest in my spiritual realm because there's nothing material. It's all ethereal. So when you think about how cool it is that we're here in the earth realm and we can physically manifest things, that's what I'm talking about. We allow ourselves, or we empower ourselves to begin to not only create health in our body by appreciating the earth and her gift of healing, and food and water, everything we need to sustain ourselves, shelter, everything is provided by the earth, the master nurturer, Mother Earth. So when you think about uh, walking on the earth and getting healed, if your mindset is, well, I don't think this is going to work, this is stupid, but I'll try it. And you stand on the earth for 5 minutes, you go back inside, go, yeah, I don't get it. And you go on about your life wearing rubber shoes and eating junk food. And you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, put anybody in a box, but it's just kind of a generalization of what I'm talking about. If you widen your mind, if you widen your heart, and you allow yourself to truly embrace what we are as human beings, I mean, again, it's always perspective. If you can see things as they truly are, you do not suffer. It's like going on a roller coaster ride blindfolded. If you don't know you're on a roller coaster ride and you're blindfolded, your ride is going to be hellacious. You're not going to know the turns and the twists and the flips, and you're going to be horrified, terrified the whole time, right? But if you take off the blindfold and you get on that roller coaster and you can see what's ahead, you know to prepare for the dips and the twists and the turning upside down, and you can actually enjoy the ride. Better yet, how about you go on the highest point in the park and you pick the ride that you actually want to go on, and maybe it's the teacups or maybe it's just the lazy river, and you don't have to go through those twists and turns. So perspective is everything. When you can see what's in front of you, you can embrace it and you can leverage it. So if I walk outside with an attitude that, "Oh, this is stupid," "All right, fine. Here, go ahead and heal me. Prove it." You know what I mean? If you're that ignorant, excuse me, but if you're ignorant about it, yeah, you're not gonna understand the benefits. You may not even receive them to the degree you could. I don't know that for sure. But all I know is when this gentleman stands on the earth and with this meter, and I can't remember what it's called, forgive me, and he's in his bare feet and he puts the end of the meter, which I wonder if he created this, I'm not sure. If he puts that nail in the ground attached to a wire, now it's attached to a meter. When he handles that meter in his hand and that light turns green, it means that he's grounded. And when he puts his shoes on and does the same thing, the light won't go on because that connection is severed. So when we walk around in our concrete jungles with rubber shoes, we are completely ignorant and disconnected from, and excuse me, I don't mean ignorant as in stupid. Ignorance does not mean stupid. Ignorance means unaware. It is a completely different thing. To me, stupid means that there's an awareness and that you're ignoring. That can be stupid. So again, forgive me if that's too general, but I'm trying to make a point. Ignorance to me is not stupidity. It is just a lack of awareness of something. So when I use ignorance, please know that's how I mean it. So we walk around this lifetime, suffering the diseases of the human body, which are caused primarily from inflammation, is healed by the earth. So not only have I bought a pair of all leather shoes, which by the way, I live in the USA. I could not find a pair in the United States. I had to buy them from Turkey, I was happy to be able to do that. Made out of all hide. So it's all natural leathers. There's no rubber or plastic in it. And when I put the shoes on and I hold that meter with the nail in the ground, I am grounded because there is no disconnection from my shoes. So when I walk on the grass or the pea gravel or whatever it is actually, or even my tumbled stone, I imagine my patio, which is a natural, I believe, I'm probably not 100% sure, which is a natural resource from the earth. If I stand on my patio in my bare feet, I should be getting the benefits of the connection to the earth. Although I don't have a meter to check that, I'll need to do that. But definitely when I walk onto my grass, I am connected to the earth. So much so, and I don't know if this is my imagination. Again, I try not to doubt my intuition because I've been told over and over and over, literally to nauseum, by my soul family through tarot readings over the last year and a half, that my intuition is spot on. Don't doubt it. It is your compass. It is your navigation system. So at this stage in my evolution, I don't doubt it anymore. So I forgot what I was saying. Sorry about the tangents today. But basically, when I walked onto well, let me just back up a little bit. I bought the shoes. I wore them for the first time on a walk. So instead of my regular Zero shoes, which I love, it's a company that makes a great shoe that allows your foot to splay completely open. And there's no arch support, which is not good for your feet, by the way. So it allows the foot to land flat as the foot is meant to land barefoot. So I've been wearing those shoes for years and I love them. They got rid of my heel pain, my arch pain, no issues anymore with these shoes that I wear. But now I want to replace those shoes with these earthing or these grounding shoes because I want that contact to the earth. And I don't wear them when I walk a concrete because there's no benefit. I don't want to destroy the shoes. But when I'm going to walk a natural path, I put the shoes on. I wore them for a long walk. I got back home and I just decided I want to go into the grass in my bare feet, which I do every single day now, unless there's snow on the ground or it's below 40 degrees. But I do go out in 40-degree weather, even if it's wet, because the earth does not make us sick. We do not get sick from the elements. We get sick from bacteria. So I go out and it doesn't matter the weather. And I stand on the earth for 20 to 30 minutes longer if the weather permits. So I go back into the grass, and as soon as I step into the grass, I feel this pulse of energy up through my feet and into my lower legs, like little shock waves of energy. And instantly I know, and again I don't know, but I know that this is the energy I can feel it coming up through from the earth into my legs. And maybe it's because I spent so much longer on the earth that day in these earthing shoes that I felt that the way that I did. But it was insane. It was like shock waves coming up from in through the bottom of my feet up through my lower leg. I didn't feel it beyond my lower leg, but I instantly knew that this is my connection to the earth. I can feel it now. And maybe the longer I spend on the earth, the more I will feel it. It'll become a resonance, which is again mostly unfelt. It's something that you just know, but this is something that I physically felt. So of course now I want to replace all of my shoes with leather shoes. And not only that, I want to move somewhere where I can live on the earth primarily and I can ground my house, which I'm not sure is a thing or not. But there are ways to ground your bed. You can ground your they sell mats that you can ground somehow. I don't know how it works. But instead of trying to ground myself through some invention, I want to just do it with Mother Earth, the nurturer. I want to go on her surface. I want to bathe in her waters, which is another really like escalated way you can heal is by going into water. And then I'll describe this, well, earth and water, but water accelerates the electromagnetic channeling, is so that's why the water, that's why I'm in the water. But this brought up something in my mind that I want to talk about too. In the movie, he talked about an example of, again, when he was young, there was an Indian girl who was very ill, and I don't remember what it was exactly, but she was very, very sick. They took her to the Western doctors, and they couldn't heal her basically, and they basically said, just make her comfortable. We can't do anything else for her. So the Indian population took her back, and they dug a hole in the ground. They laid some hay or some natural surface under on top of the dirt, and they laid the little girl in the hole. Now, they didn't bury her or cover her, and they sat with her. And I think it took 2 or 3 days, and I don't remember exactly, before she was completely healed. But she came out of the hole completely healed. I mean, this is what the American Indian and all indigenous people know that we don't know. This is ancestral information that we have been disconnected from. But the indigenous people, the people who live on the surface of the earth because they understand the gift that the earth is, that the earth is the mother, they know this. So if you go into any deep jungle or any deep desert or any deep, Arctic, whatever, wherever these indigenous people live, they know this. They can teach you this. So knowing that the earth would heal this little girl was something that they just did, and she was healed. So this young man who became this adult who had this health issue, who realized the earth helped heal him and then became healed by the earth, by the way. I think it was his liver. It became healed by the earth, of course, became a proponent and an advocate and a curious researcher of this incredible phenomenon. Was his gift. This was part of his purpose, was to gain this knowledge through his life experiences with health and with this indigenous population that he lived near, to gain this information, to write this book, to create this movie, to spread this information. So we, as consumers of this information, can become aware, and in that awareness we can begin to change, use our intention to change. It's just a brilliant simple prospect. I mean, this is our purpose in this world, is to evolve. So this movie is incredible. Another couple of examples just to help you, and I have a daughter with a young baby now, is there was a mother who had a sick child. She was a journalist, and she went looking for stories, and her husband, when they were young, went to an oil spill in, I think, Louisiana, where they wanted to understand the detrimental impacts, where the media wouldn't share. They wanted to know and uncover it, and then bring it to light. And during that time where they're investigating the spill, they were exposed to something from the spill that caused health issues for her. And she was basically told that she would be unable to have children. And if she did have children, there would be issues. So, of course, she was this was a horrible thing to learn. But in her faith, they decided anyway to try to have children. Well, they ended up, after I think one miscarriage or one stillborn, I don't remember which, forgive me. They decided to try again. They'd had a healthy little girl, and they were blessed with this beautiful baby, no health issues at all. But as the baby aged in her as a toddler, began to show signs of illness and chronic issues that, again, were just something that was going to be a part of her life for the rest of her life. Doctor after doctor, treatment after treatment, just basically can manage the symptoms, but she's not going to be healed. So this young mother was looking for a way beyond the Western medicine, what Western medicine had to offer, that's something that might help this little girl. And she stumbled upon this book, not by accident. Finds this. Now she's a movie maker, her and her husband, who find this book, who discovers this earthing, who of course applies this simple principle to her own child, who becomes healed over time. She, as a mother, with all the stress that she's been under, has gained weight. She's concerned about her mental health. She sees an earthing specialist or a healer. He says lie on the ground nude for however long he prescribed, and over time, of course, she became healed. Not only did she become healed, but she lost, I think it was 50 pounds, 30 or 50. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think it was 50. And they showed pictures of her. This transformation. And the reason is because our systems become balanced with this connection, with this grounding. It allows all of our natural body's ability to manage the food we put in our body and our emotions and all of the static of the world and all the external stimuli. It allows the body to do what the body is designed to do, to heal and mitigate. So because her systems were cleared, the part of your body, which I don't remember what it's called, that regulates your weight, was allowed to kick back into optimal levels, and she was able to lose this weight now without any problem. So there's so many more benefits to this than just feeling like you're doing something good for yourself. You can become healed, but I believe you have to want it to. It has to be something that you intend. So she discovers this. She wants to spread the word. Her and her husband are movie makers. They do documentaries. So who makes this movie about earthing these two people? Again, sorry, not sorry. This is an accident. Oh, that's no accident. This is part of their journey. His work was meant to be discovered by them, who put it out into a movie. It's so cool when you look at the whole trail, the whole thing and how it works. We're all activated in the ways we're meant to be activated, and we do what we're meant to do as a piece of the puzzle to bring this puzzle, this picture of this life, and how to manage it so others can see it. And of course, I was activated to be a part of this as well, just as you are. All of you are in your own way. Our job is to become as clear of the static and the weight of this earth realm and the karma that we bring in, to create this awareness about ourselves, which nurtures ourselves and creates self-love, which emanates out, and so on and so on. So on this Mother's Day weekend, I want to honor our Mother Earth and the gift that she gives us every day, that if we are aware enough to receive, we benefit in ways that are really incalculable. When I did the episode about water, the one titled "The Secret of Abundance," water is alive, and its mood is important. So if you think about us as beings, as human beings, that we're mostly water, and see water react at a molecular level the way water does when it is respected and revered and loved. I mean, imagine the water in our body when we're respected and revered and loved. Is it the water in our body that really makes us vital? I mean, it might be, huh? So when we're loved and nurtured and we accept it, receive it as worthy children, and the water in our body is enlivened and joyful, my God, think about that. And my hands are tingling just thinking about it. You know, as above, so below. We reap what we sow. We get what we are. So if you are loving to yourself, you are emanating that love is returned to you. It's how it works. That's the magnetic quality of the universe. We are all magnetic beings. We are electronic beings, and these systems work a certain way because of the way they're handled. We suffer because we expect to suffer. We thrive because we intend to thrive. So I'm not saying it doesn't take some time. One of the reasons why we don't manifest, what we want in our lives is because we don't spend enough time wanting it or feeling we deserve it or honestly creating the lifestyle that to support it. I've said this before. If you want the perfect partner in your life, you want that person who treats you with respect, who loves you, who adores you, who cares for you, who nurtures you, but you aren't any of those things for that person. If you're hurt and you're a victim and you are depressed, you're not going to attract that. And even if you do, as a test of your ability to receive, you're going to fuck it up. I mean, you fuck it up for a reason. You learn your lessons. And if you are not ignorant to those lessons, you get to grow. And eventually that person that you want is right for you. You're right for them. So again, the earth is our mother. While we're in this earth plane, she is our mother. And when we receive her gifts of vitality and of health and of wisdom, which is another area I'm going to get into right now, we thrive. So, do I feel a little silly when I tell my glass of water I love her? A little bit. But if it makes her happy and that joy goes into my body and hydrates my body, and maybe I live to 120, I don't know. Seems like worth it to me. Would I prefer to live in a place where there was a natural body of water that didn't have to come through thousands of miles of pipes? Where I can walk on the ground all the time instead of only when I'm not on cement? Yeah, I want to go there. And it's on the ocean under the Milky Way in my dream home. Okay. So when we accept her as our mother and we don't, like children often do, obstinate children who reject their mother and the goddess that she is, we suffer and then we learn and then we realize when we become mothers, oh yeah, I get it now. And that's fine. We're meant to go through that transformative time. We're meant to struggle in order to transform. So this beautiful mother earth is beneath my feet. She provided me this home, this structure which is a set of wave and matter which has taken this form for me to live within. So I thank this home for this gift of shelter, for this fortress of solitude that was my place for healing, and then for growing, and then for evolving, and now for loving. I thank my truck for being my mobile unit. And you don't have to do that. I'm in a time and space where I'm alone and it feels good. You don't have to do that. You can live in a state of gratitude and you vibrate with gratitude, and that is what attracts abundance. So you don't have to say it to everything like I'm doing lately. I'm having fun with it. I enjoy it very much. It makes me feel good. And I'm alone. I don't have to worry about somebody else giving me the side eye. But there are aspects of this gratitude that I will carry into my next relationship, into the people in my life. I don't care what they think. If they love me and they accept me, that this will be a part of me, it'll be appreciated. It won't be something that's scorned. If you belong in my energy, which is unique at this point, you are welcome. But if you don't, you are also welcome to go. I'm not saying that in a mean way. I want my life to resonate with people who resonate with me. So, anyway, so I want to honor Mother Earth. I want to tell her I love her. I want to thank her for all of the bounty of this food that nurtures my body, this water that hydrates my body, this air that makes these lungs function, that makes this body grow and gives it health and vitality. That's Mother Earth. So yeah, I kind of grew up without a human mother, and somehow I knew that that wasn't a problem because I've never really suffered because of it. I've always had a mom, and I guess I've always known that. I just really didn't know how to verbalize it. So, I walk outside as often as I can in my bare feet and I just commune. Please do that if you have the inclination, if that resonates with you. And watch your body transform as your heart opens, as your mind accepts something that it maybe doesn't understand. And then as it all aligns and it all synchronizes and harmonizes with the help of this earth and the electrons from her bosom, basically her mother's milk, that helps us to balance and become whole again only when we're with her. Just keep in mind when you step off of her surface in your rubber shoes or your hard floors and there's no grounding, you are on your own. And that's absolutely fine, but just don't forget her. Go outside. Listening to the birds and the smells of nature, the textures of nature, the colors, the feel of the earth, they're all part of what activates our health. It activates our well being, it activates our heart to open. It's not a mistake, it's not an accident. It's all here for a reason. The other thing I want to talk about is the guidance that I've received through the earth, the spiritual guidance that I've received through the earth. And this is a miracle again, is through my healing. And it's been almost 2 years now. Next month, actually, on the 25th, it was the first day. That was the day of my energetic break and the beginning of my healing, which was almost 2 years ago, which is crazy. Is I was just starting to do the readings. I really didn't, I wasn't connected yet to the readings. I didn't understand what, they were. The young lady that worked with me at my business showed me this tarot reader who became one of two resources that I used throughout the last nearly 2 years, up until a few months ago when I stopped doing the readings. And again, I stopped doing the readings as a sign to the universe and my soul team that I'm ready for what's next. And then that energetic cleansing came right after it, and here I am feeling much better. Still have some little oddities in my energy, which I expect will be ongoing, but I feel pretty good. So anyway, when I got home from the hospital, I was broken. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. If I got up and walked, I was exhausted. It can be referred to as a nervous breakdown, but to me, it makes so much more sense to call it an energetic break. My energy broke. I had none. With it, my mind, everything, my heart. Okay, so this happens. I come home. I'm by myself. I'm still going to work every day, which I had to do. I had a business to run. I was tolerating the being near my ex-husband, which was very, very, very difficult in the beginning. I recall 2 days after this hospital stay, and if you listened to the episode called "The Catalyst," you'll know the whole story. Is I'm still side by side with this man who caused this breakdown of my energy, was the catalyst for this, trying to get through it so I can figure out first how to heal and then what to do with the rest of my life. So I'm in this initial few days and I get up in the morning, I open my back blinds. At the time I had blinds, and I am actually on the phone with my ex-husband because we're talking about something business related. And I'm doing the very best that I can to just be cordial to him, to not lose my mind and quit my job, my business, and be reactive to what happened. I just knew I wanted to heal. I wanted to stop everything first. So I'm talking to him on the phone and I'm looking outside and I notice something moving in my backyard. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I said to him, there's something in my backyard. And I said, hold on. And I got up and went to my back door. And there's this little tiny movement, but something big is moving. And I'm like, what is that? So after a few seconds, I realized it was a huge turtle. Now, at this point, 2 years ago, I've lived in my house for 20 years. I am not near a natural water source. There's one probably, I don't know, quarter mile away, a pond, but it's not, there's no access from my property. There's actually a watershed between me and the pond, which would be completely impossible for this turtle to get through. Where did this turtle come from? This huge, I think it was a snapping turtle, I found out. So I get back on the phone and I tell him what's in my backyard. And I say, I'm going to go. I hung up with him. And I'm watching this turtle. And I'm like, where did you come from? So I forgot about it. And I'm in this healing phase where I'm just exhausted. I'm getting up every day. I'm just eating a little bit. I'm resting as much as I can. I'm not going anywhere except for work. I'm living alone. He's finally moved out of my house. I'm just exhausted. I get up the next morning and I look outside and the turtle's still there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Never seen a turtle in my backyard. So, okay, I didn't think much of it, went about my business. The next few days, I'm getting up and this turtle's still there. And I started to realize, well, maybe there's something here. Let me look it up. What does a turtle mean in your backyard? So I do some, I Googled it, and basically turtles come into your yard to lay eggs. And if they stay for a few days and you find a mound near where they were, leave the mound alone. The turtle's going to leave, and then the eggs will come out. The eggs will hatch, and the babies will run off, and they'll be gone. Don't touch anything. So I was kind of excited. I said, okay, very good. So days went by, a week went by, and I'm like, wow, the turtle's still back there. 2 weeks went by. And I started to realize, okay, there's something else going on. So I out of my intuition, I Googled, and this is, mind you, this is long, way before I connected with the readings, my soul family, anything spiritual. I had no experience with this at all. I've never done readings before, nothing. So I Googled spiritual meaning of a turtle. And immediately I knew that it was a symbol, a sign from the earth that was spiritual. And basically what a turtle means, that stays, that seems like it wants to get your attention, it symbolizes perseverance. So basically the message was, whatever you're going through, you're going to get through. You just need to stop and just persevere. Don't do anything. Heal basically is what it meant. And I thought to myself, oh, that's really kind of interesting. How cool is that? So a little while later, I actually did a reading, one of the first ones that I ever did, on my phone, which I wasn't taking, I just thought about it and I said, oh, she told me about this reading, this tarot reader. I did this reading, and it was one where it says, ask a question and you'll get an answer. And I'm like, okay, I'll ask a question. Will I be leaving my business this year? Because at that point I thought, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to be around this narcissist vampire. Well, when I watched the reading, and the message basically was, don't do anything. It's time to heal. And I thought to myself, oh, how strange that it matches the meaning of that turtle. And this was the beginning of my awakening, or my awareness of the spiritual guidance that I was receiving. I just innately knew, and now I had some proof through these two sources of information, that I am to sit and heal. So of course now I'm paying more attention to this turtle, and I'm going outside, and it's June, it's hot, and I'm like, you don't have any water. I'm trying to put water near the turtle. I'm thinking, well, maybe I can help the turtle, but somehow I knew intuitively that I was not to bother the turtle. The turtle knew what the turtle was doing, so I left the turtle alone. A week later, there was a really heavy storm, rains, thunder, lightning, winds, really high winds. Went through the night. I woke up the next morning and I looked outside and the turtle was gone. And I just knew, without knowing, that I understood the reason the turtle was there. I was meant to connect with that. That's all that was needed. The turtle left. I don't know where the turtle went. I don't know how he got out of my yard. I have no idea. I have a fence all around my yard. The back of my yard is fenced, and beyond the fence is a watershed. So it is a very deep divot that's cemented, that handles overflow of water. He was just gone. I don't know how he got out of my yard. I think I left the front gate open in case he wanted to get out, but I don't know where he would have gone. So that was my first experience a few days after the hospital stay where I had my energetic break. So after a little while, and I don't know if I documented this anywhere or not, but the next thing that happened that I became aware of was the flow of caterpillars. I was at the park, which I spent a lot of time. I've talked about that before. I got up to fold my chair, and there was a woolly bear caterpillar. There's these sweet caterpillars in northern part of the northwestern part of the country. They're called woolly bears. They're really cute. Anyway, there was one on the leg of my chair, and I thought, oh, I haven't seen one of these in so long, and it really wasn't the time of year to see woolly bears. Normally, it's the fall. It was the summer. I think it was July, probably a month later. And I thought it was interesting. I went to my truck to put my chair back into my back of my truck, and there was another one on the ground. I'm like, oh, there's two. Okay. Not thinking anything. I go home, and there's a day or two later, there's another one on my driveway. I'm like, okay. So, of course, I'm like, oh, wait, hang on. What does this mean? I knew this must mean something. I don't think I researched it right away. I just had a kind of an intuitive knowing that something was trying to tell me something. Well, a few days later, I was mowing my lawn. This was amazing. This was the most amazing thing. I was sitting in my chair, which I do in the summertime. I have a little chair I sit in my driveway near my garage door when it's cool enough and not too hot. And I was sitting out there while I was mowing my lawn. I would sit down and have some water. I'd just gotten up from my chair where I was sitting at the top of my driveway where I'm looking at my entire driveway. I get up to go do something in my lawn, and literally 2, 3 minutes later, I walked back towards the chair, and right in front of where my chair was on the driveway, where I could not be missed, was a 5-inch long neon green caterpillar. And I'm like, what the frig is that? I had never seen anything like it before. And I'm watching this caterpillar just meander on my driveway towards my grass line, onto the grass, and then meander through the grass towards my pine tree. And then I don't, and then I was so excited. I got my phone, and of course I Googled, what does a Luna moth mean? What is a green? I didn't. What is a green moth? I didn't know. It turns out it's a Luna moth, which is a huge moth, which I've never seen one of them either. And I Googled the spiritual meaning of Luna moth, and it, of course, it made perfect sense. The meaning of of caterpillars, and especially this Luna moth, was a time for healing and transformation. That I was still in this healing phase, but I was beginning to transform. And of course, now that the turtle was there, and now these caterpillars and this incredible Luna moth, I'm just now I'm sold. I'm like, I'm getting messages here. And at that time I started, or around that time I started doing the readings and really looking at them as a resource. And it took a while with the readings, I'm not going to lie, because I'm not a skeptic. I've been to a medium before who I thought was very accurate, but I don't really seek out this type of thing. I never really have. But I'm always go into something. I have a very pragmatic mind. I'm like, well, just look at it and see what happens. So I go to this tarot reader again. I listen to this reading, and the whole thing again is about me healing and in a time of transformation. It matched this Luna moth. And I'm like, okay. And I did another reading about probably a month later. I did them once a month. And I was getting the same, whatever energy I was in was being mirrored in the reading. That you are, and then it started to talk about you have guidance that you just need to be aware of, and you're going to see it in nature, and it's going to and you're going to be spoken to, and signs and symbols, and be aware. And I remember thinking to myself at the park one day, I feel like these readings are really talking to me. I don't really know for sure, unless it's some sort of accident that I'm getting, what I think is resonating, but maybe it's not. I didn't know anything about, I didn't trust my intuition yet. I wasn't anywhere near that time. So I go back that day or near that day, and I do another reading, and the reading says to me, you don't have to doubt the readings. We are speaking to you. This is part of your guidance. You are meant to meet with your soul team at this time in your life, in this lifetime, to connect to our guidance so we can get you where you're meant to go. And I was just blown away. I'm like, "Oh my God, they're actually talking to me." And of course, I'm still, not trusting that every time I do a reading, it's going to resonate. And I'm doing them only once a month at this time. Well, I started doing them once a week. And each and every reading was more guidance that, yes, we're here with you. And I saved every one of them. I have a catalog of over 100 of them. And I made notes. I have catalogs of notes. And then I started just typing notes, and I'm like, I have all of these readings cataloged, which is basically a timeline of all the guidance that I've received. And I feel like someday I'm going to write a book. about my spirit guides and all the guidance that I've received. But anyway, so I'm starting to trust this guidance. Through this guidance, this is amazing. Through this guidance, I am told that there's a message for me from the Pleiadians. And I'm like, what are the Pleiadians? I have no idea. Now, mind you, throughout the messages that I've been getting, I've been referred to as a star seed. And I didn't know what that was either. I researched star seed. I found out what it is. Many of us here are star seeds. Basically, we are extraterrestrials that come from another star system to have this experience on Earth and also on a mission to help people, humanity, evolve. And also the Earth, which I've talked about my dual mission, which is to evolve myself and to help evolve the Earth, which evolves humanity, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is really something I didn't understand at all when I started. Again, the leap of faith that I took into this whole foray of writing and podcasting, which I had no idea why I was doing it. I'm doing these readings more often. I'm being told that I'm a star seed and that my future soulmate is also a star seed. And this is how I get this information about this future soulmate who we may share a soul. I talked about all this. But basically, I have a message from the Pleiadians, and I'm like, okay, who are the Pleiadians? So I researched, Googled, who are the Pleiadians? I learned to trust my intuition. So when I look at the list of what comes up in a Google search, I intuitively know which one to open. That's the one I'm meant to open. In this case, I opened one, and it was a lady ranting about aliens, and I'm like, okay, I turned it off real quick. I went out and I went to the next one, and it brought me to a YouTube um, channel called I don't remember what it's called, 5D DNA, something like that. And it was all about the Pleiadians, which are an extraterrestrial race who are helping humanity evolve. And it's just all this information started to come into my being. And I ended up ordering a book on Amazon, and then another book, and then another book. And a lot of what I speak about has been guided by that. So this has just opened up this whole universe to me, all of this information. And it's 1:11 on the timer, but we're not going to end there today. So anyway, to go back to what I was saying, so the caterpillars, the readings are all, they're resonating. They're all coming into my body and helping my intuition to open and to calibrate, so I can start to trust it. So now at this point, months later, I'm doing readings every day, one a day, and then I'm doing more than one a day. And every time I open a reading, I still expect that maybe it's not for me, and it always is. Even though sometimes it doesn't start out feeling that way, I learned to trust that, wait for it to finish. There's something in here for you. And again, that's that same premise of eat the chicken and leave the bones. Sometimes the entire reading wouldn't be for me and just parts of it. These are general readings. I am not paying a tarot reader to read me. I'm going to a channel on this reader's channel on YouTube, and I am going to general readings that resonate with me, that I'm drawn to. And this is how my intuition is being developed, and this is how my spirit team is speaking to me. And through their guidance, I began writing. I began the podcast. Of course, my daughter, who is also a soulmate, she was part of this as well. I talked about all that. So this is all developing now, where I'm getting all of this incredible guidance. I'm getting, these tarot readings, and then now I'm getting these spiritual symbols along with it from the earth. So the next one was equally incredible. This was a month or two later. I was leaving my home, and I turned around to lock my door. And sitting on the lock of my door was a bright green praying mantis. I mean, come on, in my face. I could not have missed it if I were blindfolded. Well, maybe if I were blindfolded, but I had to look at my lock in order to lock the door, sitting right on my lock. And instantly I knew, okay, this is another symbol. Of course it is. It's another one, a bright green praying mantis. 20 years I've lived in it. Well, 21 years now that I've lived in this house, I've never seen one in my yard. So within a 3-week time period, I saw 2 more praying mantis, one at the park and one on my garage door when I came home one day within 3 weeks. So I'm like, of course, thank you. I'm telling my spirit team and the universe, thank you for these signs. I Googled it, of course, the first time I saw it. And basically, the praying mantis, the spiritual symbol, is for looking inward, which is what I had been doing. I had been following the guidance of my spirit team. I had been going through my healing. I'd been reading the gene keys. I did my human design chart by this time. All of this information was in front of me that I was using to help heal myself, to help go through my dark night, to deal with my shadow self. And these are all the revelations and the epiphanies I had about my role in all of the darkness in my life. How I came in with this karma of being a victim, of not living as a life of style, which is what I'm meant to live, which translates to me trailblazing, which I did an episode about last. All of the things that I wasn't doing as that were part of my potential because I was stuck in the lower vibrational energy that I was born here in. So throughout this time of guidance and these symbols, I'm going through this healing. So it's all happening at the same time. So, of course, that was resonant to me because I had been looking inward. This is where I was now. I was no longer blaming my ex husband. I was no longer blaming my parents, which I really never blamed them. I had an innate understanding of their role in my life. But my ex husband, he was the current, what the F happened there. But again, I intuitively knew there was a bigger purpose for the whole thing. So I was very open to learning. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I ended up with epiphany after epiphany after epiphany about how my behavior or my tendency or the way I believed or thought caused all of these relationships and these situationships to aggravate all these demons that were meant to be exercised in this lifetime. Okay. So I'm feeling so good now. I'm in this incredible space where I feel this guidance and this love from the universe and my soul family. And during this time, my daughter tells me she's pregnant, and I'm hearing about this golden child that's going to come, and I'm part of my role is to guide this baby because she's going to be mostly free of karma, and that's part of my role. And in order to play that role, I have to be clear. I have to be my whole self. I have to be the highest version of myself. So this part of my purpose is to guide not only my daughter, who has been more instrumental in my life in the last couple of years than me and hers, I'm sure, but that may change. And this little baby who I'm meant to guide, this golden child. So all of this is coming into play, and I'm starting to see the bigger picture, and I can see this incredible tapestry of my purpose and why I'm here and why I went through this hell with this man and the hell I'd gone through before, where I felt so helpless. And now I have all this empowering guidance and support. I had this was all help that I had doing this. I wasn't alone. So the next thing that happened was a couple of months later. Oh my goodness. And I wrote about all this. Is I woke up in the morning, and this would had to be last the beginning of the end of summer or something like that. So we're talking about a 7-month period from my energetic break to my what I refer to as my healing, my complete healing, where I was finally in the place where I understood everything I had gone through and I embraced it all as part of who I am. And again, forming that yin and yang, I was starting to understand the balance and I was starting to create that balance. Well, I woke up in the morning and I always have a lot of deer in my yard. I have a large backyard for the area. It's not a big backyard in a suburban area, but for the area, it's a larger backyard. It's pretty private. I get a lot of deer. I know I haven't seen any this summer, which is very strange. I don't think I've seen one. Anyway, I would wake up and there'd be a little family back there in the spring. I had one spring where I had a fawn on my patio where she was nestled there by her mom. And if you know anything about fawns in the springtime, don't touch the babies. Mom knows where they are. She's just going out to feed. She comes back. Don't worry. If they're on your patio, just leave them alone. They're fine. Unless you don't ever see mom and the baby suffering. Of course, that's different. But anyway, I researched what to do. It said do nothing. So I just watched this little baby, watched mom come and go. It was really beautiful. But anyway, this was about the 7th month of my healing, and I believe so. I don't want to exaggerate. I think it was. I woke up in the morning. I opened my. At this time, I have sliding panels for my over my window. And in my backyard is a buck or a stag, a solo male deer. And you don't see males, well, you don't see deer really solo. They travel in families. So I was really surprised to see this young buck because his rack or his antlers were small. They were good size, but not full size. I was really surprised to see him by himself in my backyard. I said, "Where's the rest of your family?" I'm looking around. And I don't know the migrational habits of deer, so maybe he was supposed to be alone. I don't know, but I wasn't used to seeing a deer by themselves, male or female. So I watched him for a little while. Went to work, and I have a camera system where I can see my backyard from an app. And I looked later, and I can see well because he actually sets off a sensor which sends me an alarm that something's in my backyard. The sensor was, went off a couple times. I would check, and I would see he was still back there. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's still there. I came home that evening, and I realized, oh, maybe this is another sign because that deer is now laying in my backyard completely alone. Very unusual for me anyway to see. So I Googled what does a male deer or stag mean. It was so beautiful. I think I cried for a few minutes when I saw this. But basically, it means power and grace and the awakening of consciousness. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So when I read that to this intuitive, source of information after I Googled it, I just realized that I finally arrived at this place where I'm understanding myself as a human being or an energetic being in a human body. And I had this acknowledgement from nature that I had arrived at this time by this beautiful stag in my backyard. And of course, it says if it seems like an animal's trying to get your attention, I'm saying, well, he's been here for a full day. So I went to bed that night and I woke up and he was still in my backyard. And I just felt this peacefulness, like this connection with him I cannot describe. I looked out at him. I didn't open the door. He looked up and we made eye contact. He saw me. I didn't disturb him any further. I just knew he was there for me. I went to work. I checked the camera probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and he was gone. And I just thought this was, you have to understand the impact of this on me as a human being discovering my ethereal self in this human body. So it wasn't just about this human experience anymore. I have always had this knowing that I couldn't define, that I was something more than this human being. But I didn't understand it, of course. I had written about it even previous to this. But now I understood. So I have this perspective of this incredible life that I'm living as this energetic being in this human vessel, in this earth plane. And this earth and her creatures, how they were a part of my guidance. I mean, come on. This incredible earth and her creatures helping me to heal the spiritual realm and this earth realm and all the aspects of it, which are all the same, working in synchronicity, in unison to affect me, this ethereal being in this human body, to guide me to where I'm meant to go. How amazing is that? So, of course, now that I've seen this and I look back at all of this that has happened, and of course, it's been continuing to happen ever since, every single day I see something, some symbol. Either it's a mirroring number on the clock, or it's a triple number, or a progressing number, or I see a sign on a billboard, or a sound, a resonant sound. I mean, there's so many things that once you become aware of this connection, of this guidance, of this nurturing, you embrace it and you become whole. It's so difficult for me to go and to be around other people and not just scream this like an idiot. But it's so beautiful to walk around this earth with this incredible secret. And of course, I want to tell everybody, so I'm telling you in every episode, this is what I'm talking about. Every single thing I write, every single word I speak is about exactly the same thing, just from different angles. It's about self awareness, perspective, and self love. Because with self love, you have to get to self love, which requires awareness, which requires perspective. I mean, I can go deeper if you want, but this is what I'm talking about, this root to this beautiful tree. You have to start with this incredible root system in this earth in order to receive her love, her nurturing. And then you build on that your awareness of yourself as this human vessel, this ecosystem, this natural vessel, which is if it were the color of earth, if it were green and brown like a tree, we would accept it as earth, but we are of earth. We just don't sprout leaves, we sprout arms and legs. And we have this ability to speak and to think, which don't be mistaken, the earth is a conscious being. She just doesn't need words to convey. We are blessed with speech, so we can have this interaction with each other, cause these problems, deal with adversity, overcome, and so on. There is a purpose to everything, and this earth is our mother. And I want to bless her. I want to honor her on this incredible, not just Mother's Day. I do it every day. Let every day be Mother's Day if you want to thrive in this earthly plane. Look for the guidance of your spirit team. They're always talking to you. It's not just me. I may be on a destined path, and maybe not everyone is in this lifetime, but your spirit team is there. These are the souls of your soulmates who are not incarnate on this earth. And there are incarnated soulmates who are on this earth for you. Maybe you're in a relationship with one right now. Maybe they're a daughter or a son or a mother or a father, a friend, or a boss. I don't know, that we choose these roles before we come. Right now, my soulmates that I'm aware of are my daughter, my granddaughter, my dog Oreo, who was in the earth plane with me for 10 years, who is now in the ethereal plane guiding me, and the higher selves of myself and my future soulmate. And also, well, they're in the ethereal realm. But as far as the earth realm, that my future soulmate is in the earth realm. He's just not in my vicinity yet. We're not meant to come together yet. And I have no idea when that is. But we all have soulmates. We all have spirit teams or soul families in the other realms. We all have other guidance too. As a star seed, as an extraterrestrial that I'm told that I am, my guidance are extraterrestrials. They are, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians. There's many, many others. These are other life forms in different star systems that come to Earth to help Earth and to guide humanity and to evolve themselves, because everyone needs to evolve, not just us humans. All spiritual beings are evolving in every realm. And we are an example because of this earthly body and our ability to have these relationships. We have the most complex um, learning is done here. We have the most complex college or school than any other place. So other beings look at us and how we live and how we learn, and they live and learn from us. Now, I'm not saying they aren't more technologically advanced than us. They have way more advancements than we do in many other ways. They're ancient. They've survived for millennia, and they were on Earth as civilizations. And, this is stuff that's all maybe not taught in schools, but it's amazing. Anyway, I want to honor Mother Earth in this episode, and I hope that I've done that. I love her. She is everything. She's given me everything that I enjoy on this planet, not just the physical manifested things. Her love is her energetic embrace whenever I go outside and in the water or near the trees, or I listen to the flowers and there's harmonies, there's resonance with everything. We just have to immerse ourselves in it. So let me recommend the movie, the Earthing movie on Gaia TV, which again, I don't receive any compensation from Gaia. They have no idea who I am. I'm just trying to share what I'm learning, my understandings. And if it resonates with you, then that is what it's meant to do. If it doesn't, leave it with the bones. But thank you so much for all the time that you spent with me. I know this was a little longer episode, but I wanted to take the time to really talk about this incredible journey through this earth plane and how amazing and beautiful it is when we really look around and see where we are and who we are and why we're here. It is beautiful. It is brilliant. It is aesthetic. So thank you, dear, beautiful Mother Earth, and all you provide, which is this body. It is this earth plane and all these experiences. It is this heart center that I get to open and love, especially this baby that I, oh my, this baby. And my daughter as a mother, it is so beautiful. Thank you for all that I'm blessed with, this amazing and beautiful food, this lively, beautiful, hydrating water, this air that fills my lungs. Thank you for this incredible existence in this earth plane, dear Mother. Thank you.